Welcome back to For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs, Episode 2. I am Eric Verdi, and with us today is Brandon DeVere, my dear friend. I've known Brandon for about 4 or 5 years now. I was actually on his podcast, and that's why he's joining us. He is host of Learn for Two podcast. Now, that is actually his third podcast that he's done, and he's going to talk more about that in a second. And let me tell you, I'll be upfront and honest. I'm doing this for selfish reasons. My first podcast, Frederick Advice Givers, I started about 5 years ago. And back then, it took me probably, a month and a half to get my podcast set up and running. So I wanted to have Brandon on here as episode number 2. I'm recording episode number 2 before we actually release everything because I'm going to batch them and release one a week. So I'm going to learn today, just like you're going to learn on today's interview with Brandon, how to get your podcast up and running. You can listen to this tonight. If you implement the steps that Brandon's going to go over with you in a little bit, by tomorrow morning, you could have your own podcast show. Brandon, thank you for joining us, man.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. So for our listeners, viewers that don't know you, Brandon, give us your backstory and what business are you in general?
In general, I'm in the real estate business. That's kind of how we met. Oddly enough, we were a bunch of real estate agents that didn't want to talk about just real estate all the time. So we kind of all, got together and collaborated. But I was in the camp of not wanting to be like, the traditional real estate, like door knocking, cold calling and things like that. More attraction marketing, things of that nature that where we were able to give to people rather than just constantly ask for stuff. So that's so my general business is real estate. But in front of that, I put more of like content creation, podcast creation, just, storytelling, like yourself. And, because all of us that were in that group kind of understood that real estate was just something that we do, not necessarily who we were.
Right. So what is it that led you on your journey? Okay. So you're a real estate agent. You don't like cold calling, door knocking. What was it that led you on your journey to teach others how to start and run a podcast?
So I grew up in a teacher's household. My dad was a teacher, and as far as it would like get away from teaching, I always felt I love to share with people like what I've learned, even if they aren't even if they aren't asking for it. I'm like, hey, I want to teach you how to learn something. And what happened was I started seeing a lot of people because as you know, originally when we first started doing podcasts, it was a lot of work. My very first podcast was interview based, and the way that I learned how to do it, it took anywhere from 4 to 8 hours per episode. It was a lot of work. It was like a full-time job trying to get your episode up and running. And I just noticed that a lot of people were not really, they weren't comfortable with the work that it took. So they didn't want to share their message. One, because they didn't think their message was important, but two, they didn't think that they were techie. And so they didn't think they would be able to do it. So what I wanted to do, especially with this course, is kind of demystify how scary and intimidating the whole process is, and do it for a way that people can do it for essentially free. Instead of buying all this equipment, you'll be surprised at how many people I talk to that come to the class and they're like, yeah, I have like $2,000 worth of equipment in a studio that I've never done anything with. They were too worried about the studio instead of just getting it done.
It's what we always talk about is it's never going to be great the first time. The first time's not going to be good. It's more being able to actually do something to go back, analyze it, and reconstruct it, innovate it. So kudos for you. So that's superpower that you have. Like what impact or transformation has helping others? Because I know you want to lead with a giving mindset. What transformation has that had on you, either personally or in your business?
Personally, it really has made me realize the importance of contribution. And part of what launched this was I was in 2 separate conferences, 2 separate speakers, and both I felt were like speaking directly to me. And it was like within a month. So part of my real estate business is growing an international team. And so I was so focused on me, just how can I grow my team? How can I grow me? is what I was so focused on. And they both were up there and like, you got to come from a place of contribution. And at the same time, I was taking the One Funnel Away challenge from ClickFunnels, and I listened to Steve basically.
Larson.
Yeah, Steve Larson basically say, publish daily. I don't care. You start today, publish daily. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to publish daily? And my thought was, all right, we'll come from a place of a contribution. So after I did that, ironically enough, my team exploded through like no growth. I mean, from not no growth, but not necessarily directly from what I was doing, like thinking that I want to put in whatever I put in, I want to get out. Mm-hmm. And it took me from that single input, single output mindset to single input, multiple output mindset, where things were growing without me just focusing. You know, what do they say? It's a watch pot never boils. That's where I was. I was just looking at this pot, like, come on, let's go. But then I was like, you know what? Take this, give it to somebody who can use it. And also the title of the podcast, Learn for Two. The idea is everything that I learn, I want to teach to someone else. And, you know, the two things that really come out of it are that, one, you get to share your knowledge and someone gets better. But the more you teach the same thing, the better you get at what you're teaching. So, you know, it does benefit me in that way as well. But it has, I've seen others, reach out to me and thank me for sharing some of the stuff. Like, even though I am in real estate, I don't talk just about real estate. Right. And when I share things personally of me, like the story I told you before about my son, mm-hmm. There was, before no one was going to school, we battled for 4.5 months to get him to go to a half-day school because he was battling anxiety. I wasn't going to share that in the podcast, but then I felt like I was being selfish because I was looking for something at that point, and I needed somebody else. I wanted to be that person that I was looking for somebody else.
All right, so let's share your screen here, Brandon. Let's go into how by tomorrow morning, you, me, listeners could have a podcast up. I want you to do like, all right, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So I'm going to let you roll with it, man.
All right. So to start off, just to let everybody know, the purpose of this style is that it's to demystify it, make it super easy. Now, I know a lot of people will probably be like, oh, there's, Joe Rogan has this production, Adam Carolla, all this stuff. This is not that. This is to get you over, we say done is better than perfect. This is to get you over the hump of thinking that you have to have X, Y, Z done before you can get it done. There's many things that you can build off of this, syndicate it to way more places, upgrade it as much as you want. But the whole purpose of this is getting it done. So step 1 would be to go to anchor.fm. This is where you'll go to get set up. You can do all kinds of things to add your podcast artwork. You can go out to Fiverr. You can do all that stuff and add it to your podcast artwork. But this is just, let's just get it done today. This is how you do it. And Anchor does a really good job when you sign up. We'll sign up with a new account here just so you can walk through and see exactly how everything does. So we'll just go here. Podcast. So when you get in here and sign up, this is all it takes. It's free. That's step 2 of what this is, the process of this.
So literally you're on Anchor right now.
Yeah.
34 seconds ago, you didn't have an account. You have an account now, and it says make your first podcast. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes. So it'll walk you basically through everything. So we're going to go ahead and just follow the instructions basically. So let's do it. So right now, this is the episode builder. So for instance, I wanted to go record something right here. So what I would typically do, and make sure,
could you upload something from your phone here, or how do you record?
Absolutely. So I'll show you both ways. So number one, if you were going to start recording right now and you wanted to record directly into here, make sure. So this is a big tip, because I actually just did it recently. I interviewed somebody for 1 hour and 24 minutes, and this set back to the internal mic. So my audio wasn't that great. I want to go into my this is my mic that I use that's plugged into the computer. So I'll do that. What I also do is do a quick test so that you know that it's recording. But here's a couple steps you can do. So what I would typically do is something like this, and I'll show you also how you can edit a little bit in here, so you don't have to use an outside because there's screen flow. There's all these different things that you can edit in. But we're going to focus on everything being done right in here. So now it'll give me a little countdown, or start telling me that. So we're recording right now. So I'd basically go 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to Learn for Two podcast. This is Brandon DeVere. Thank you as always for tuning in. I appreciate that and you sharing your time with me. This is what today's episode is going to be about. So
all right,
that'll take a second.
Pause. I have some questions.
Yep.
All right. So once you get an Anchor account, okay, you can download an Anchor app on your phone, I imagine.
Yes. So
you could record on your phone what you just did.
Yes, absolutely. And the other part that is when you record it on your phone, it goes directly to your episode being made. So if you wanted to go record from your phone and then put it all together on the computer, you just record from your phone. As soon as that's done, it's saved to your account on here. So you could record something from your phone and then drop it however you want when we start building the episode.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll see what happened here. So it is a free account as well. So sometimes things, usually in this case, it'll usually be that they don't, here, let me do this real quick. So I just recorded that and it's not in here. That has never happened to me in a full episode that I've done, but it's when we go to build this thing together here in a second, you'll see sometimes it doesn't go right away. But here, let me re-record this. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back. Learn for Two podcast. This is Brandon DeVere. Thank you as always for tuning in. I appreciate that and appreciate you sharing your time with me. This is what today's episode is about. So now that you see it's processing here, it'll take a second.
Right.
And once it's done, that plus sign means that you're going to add it to your episode. So right here, we're just going to add it to episode. So here's my...
So now I could do an intro. So you can add multiple things to an episode, multiple recordings to an episode? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so once you have your recordings done, they'll show up in your library. So you can always recall them. So if you go add intro, you just hit intro, and then it will pop up here. Like I name mine intro.
Right.
So I just go up into here and type intro in, and then just hit the plus sign, and it goes in here.
Because your intro is very Stephen Larson. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. 100%. That's what I came up with it while I was doing that class.
Right.
And you'll see I have a lot of landing pages and funnels that are very much Steve Larson. He's definitely an influence for me for sure. After I think, a couple hundred downloads, I think you can activate sponsorships too. I'm not going to touch on that. But you'll get paid for mentioning, typically it's Anchor. That starts off, but then they'll try and pair you with people.
Right.
But so here you can listen back to it. But there's two parts right here that make it like totally foolproof here. So now I want to split into multiple segments. So obviously I had that first part where I did the countdown of me starting. I don't want that in my episode. So when I go to split audio, I'll go hit play. Or start telling me that, so we're recording right now. So I basically go 3, 2, 1. So right there, I want to split that, and we're going to save and split. So it's going to keep that whole 14-second. You see that right there? It's going to keep the whole thing in the library.
Right.
But now it's also split into, this is the part where I was talking and getting ready, and this is the secondary part where I actually did everything. So all I want to do here is go remove from episode.
Got it.
So I remove that, and instead of having that where I was saying 3, 2, 1, now we have, hey guys, welcome back to Learn for Two podcast. This is it's already set up. And then if you don't, like for me, since I have already a little bit of a background in doing it, I created my outro outside and uploaded it in. But here you can add music to it. So let's say, what kind of music do we want? We'll go with some cheerful, and then you just find something here that we'll just choose this one for right now.
Perfect.
But what it'll do is you'll see it process here. And remember, it was only 8 seconds long. previously. Now it's 17 seconds. So if I wanted to do my outro like this with music going on, or I just wanted to, an intro of that, it will automatically enter the music, and it will take it from, it will enter the intro, and then it will fade in or fade out and then fade back in when you're done. So we'll play it here. Hey guys, welcome back to Number 2 Podcast. This is Brandon DeVere. Thank you as always for tuning in. I appreciate that and you sharing your time with me. This is what today's episode is going to be about. So like, you don't need to be a tech wizard. You basically clicked on a song that you wanted to put to your music, and they made it. They did it on their own.
Awesome.
So now if you're doing this is where you can upload files to add to your episode. So what you want to do, where it says click to upload or drop audio here. What you're going to want to do is you're going to have an MP3 or an M4A file. The benefit of, if you're doing like interview based, or you're recording your video, if you're going straight from video and not recording directly into it, when you do a Zoom video, they give you 3 files. So one is an MP4 file, which is the video. There's another one that's a linkable file, and then there's a third one called M4A. So what you can do, so right before this podcast, I did this right here, where I'm just going to add this, drag it over, and drop it in. It's going to process for a minute. And now I have you say this is my intro, but really what you can do is also, and it takes a couple seconds to get done processing as well. But this right here, you can drag and drop and position the way that you want it in there. So once you have the stuff in there, if you need to rearrange it, you just add. So right now, here's audio only is now in part of my library. And that was just the name of it because that was how it's saved on there. But now I go to play that. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. This is a recording just for test purposes for the podcast class to show you how you can upload your audio directly from a Zoom recording. Okay, so now as you have that audio file from Zoom, you can just enter it in there. So when we did our interview, all I did was go to that file that that Zoom saved, and went into here and just trimmed off the same way I did when I came over here. So obviously I don't want to have the 3, 2, 1 on there again. So 2, 1. Pause it, split it, save split, and then I'll just remove it. I'll remove this top part here in a second, and it will go, and it automatically goes into that next spot. So I'll show you as soon as it's done processing here. We'll just get rid of that one, and then it will just go on its own directly into the next spot. So remove that.
So let me ask you a question. So I do Zoom outside, then I can upload it to Camtasia, and that's where I do my, at least for my other podcasts, that's where I do my intro and my outro. And then I can save that file and upload that entire file to Anchor, like ready and done and edited. Yep, absolutely. As long as you have it in the correct format. MP3 or MP4A. Yeah, M4A. M4A. So you'll see these 2 right here. So this is the 3 files that it shows up at. Right. The MP4, the M3U, and the M4A. So as long as you have an MP3 or this M4A, you can go ahead and do that, and you just upload it directly into here. So yeah, so for a little more advanced, that's what somebody would do. But if somebody's like just learning and not knowing how to do anything, they would likely just do it right in here. Or and also Anchor's free and Zoom is free. So when you do those 2 that interview through Zoom, you can do this. That your episode can be, and YouTube is free, so you can put it on YouTube and on Anchor, all for free. And then if you do want to get into things like finding your own music and doing things like that, YouTube has a music library that is royalty free. You can always go check that out. So in this case, so right now, let's just say that our if we want to put an outro in, we could do that. We could have an existing one. Everything that you record saves to your library. So if you wanted to go find it, I recommend when you go onto the little pencil there, that's where you can edit the name of it. Name it something that you can find. Okay.
So like, so next time I'm out and I want to add this to something, all I got to do is type it up in the search area, and it's going to show that to me, and then I can add it. So what I do is the best way for me is I type an intro, and then I'll do the last update that I did to it, because I've changed it a couple times. I've had some people tell me that the music was too loud and they couldn't tell what I was saying, so I went and changed it. Different outros that I use sometimes, I typically have a call to action or offer at the end.
Right.
And I've changed that one a couple times, but I would just name it to something you can find, name it intro, outro, and the date that you last updated it, so you can find it. And then again, you just add it, no problem. So what you end up doing, you just hit save episode. Now that's not published yet. You're just saving it. And this will take you to where you can write your description and everything. And while that's, okay, here it is. So what I typically do is, like, you can see how I title. This is basically how I title my episodes. It will make you, before you do anything, you have to have it set up in here. You have to have something in these fields.
Right.
But this one I typically do episode 0 for until 100. I do 0, 01, 0, 02. That's just, I learned it at a podcast course and I just do it. I mean, I know that it's probably for people who end up in the thousands and thousands of podcasts.
Well, that was the same way when I started about 5 years ago. I modeled mine after John Lee Dumas. I started out 001, 002, and I actually made it to 200 in my other podcast, and now we're starting to do it. I think you're up to 190 episodes. Is that correct?
Yeah, today was 190, and it's been fun. It's been a little cathartic for me as well too, because it's become I do it Monday through Friday, and it's become a kind of a journal for me. We used to do the IODs, and instead of me writing now, I end up doing I end up just doing the podcast for it and write occasionally. But the funny thing is that how much more aware I am of my surroundings now, because I have to do a podcast. That's kind of another side note of something that has increased my awareness of things going on around me now, because I have to have an episode every day. And I batched the first 5 like you were talking about. And I would recommend doing that for everyone else as well. I'd be pretty strategic about your first 3 to 5 episodes and have those all recorded, because that will help you keep the momentum and also help people have the opportunity to get to know you a little bit as you're doing it, instead of doing one today and then one next week and then the week after or whatever. But the main key also is to make sure that you're consistent and manage expectations. If you tell people that you're going to do one episode a week, do one a week. Don't do 3 this week, none for 3 weeks, and then 1 the following week, and then 5 the next week, just because people they won't know what to expect anymore.
That's actually exactly what I talked about in episode 1 of For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs with my episode talking about my 21 Days to Publish program. Was consistent, compelling content. You got to have all three C's. And you don't want to do 2 this week, none next week, 5 the week after that, take 3 weeks off. Like, that's not a formula for success.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And you're absolutely right, because 1, you lose the momentum, and 2, one of the things, the main question that I get from people in the classes are like, how long should it be? Well, it should be as long as your audience. There aren't many rules to what your podcast should be. It should be consistent, and people should be able to manage expectations, or have expectations managed. And for instance, I usually, I'll record in the car sometimes, and I'll go, hey guys, coming to you from Studio B, AKA the car. So they know if it doesn't sound like normal, okay, so that their mind is off of why it doesn't sound normal. I was in Puerto Vallarta 2 months ago, and I was recording from the beach. And so you're hearing waves crash behind me. But, if I was doing this and didn't say anything, all of a sudden people were like, what is going on? Hey guys, I'm coming to you from Studio O, the ocean. I'm walking on the beach right now, and, you're going to, and so automatically they go, all right, well, now my expectations have been managed. So I'm not trying to guess what that is back there. So,
all right. So we've gone to Anchor FM. We've recorded our audio. We've edited it. We're now at the title and description. And what do we do next, Brandon?
Oh yeah. So here, type in your description, whatever it is. You can have links, whatever you need in here. to wherever you want to go here. Season number, you can put seasons if you want. I do every 100 episodes is a season for me. It's just arbitrary. So here would be episode 001. So now you have the opportunity. Here's the publish date. You can either publish now, or you can publish now, or you can schedule it out. So like when we were talking about batch recording, which many people might not know what that is, but that's when you record a number of episodes at once, and then you want them to go out. So let's say you recorded, 5 episodes today because you're only doing a few minute podcast, and you want it to go out the next 5 days starting tomorrow. You would go, okay, tomorrow at, let's go ahead and put it in at tomorrow. First episode comes out at 5 a.m. and it will automatically be set for tomorrow's podcast. Right. So you just hit schedule here. If you're not done editing it and you don't want to schedule anything yet, just hit save as draft. And that's what I would do. That's what I would do right now. Because there's another step where, again, this is where I get people that get kind of caught up is their album art. So you just go to update settings, and what you can do, this is where you add all your information. So we can do, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but have you seen Tiger King?
Oh yeah. I just got done the other day.
Yeah. So you just joke around here, do, Tiger King podcast, kind of say what it's about, what genre you're going to have it in.
So this is pretty much the first time you're doing one?
Because this is just the setup.
Okay.
For the first one.
Okay.
So Anchor kind of took us to record our first episode first.
Right.
But this
now you're setting up the overall brand of the podcast, the name of your podcast. So this is the Learn for Two podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So this is your podcast name. This is what everyone's going to see because you're building basically your website page where all of your episodes are going to be. So if anybody goes and
Anchor also, this was another question. I'm sorry to cut you off, Brandon, but these are just questions I have as I'm going along. So Anchor also gives you a URL, gives you a website.
Yes.
So it's anchor.fm.brandon6578.
Mm-hmm.
However, you could go to GoDaddy and get Learn for Two podcast, buy that URL and forward this to that URL, correct?
Yeah. So here I have learnfor2.com.
Which is really is it an Anchor site?
Yeah, it's just, all it is forwarded. I bought the domain and forward it just to here. So if somebody wants to go listen to the podcast, they go to Learn for Two, and this is what it will end up looking like. So your podcast art, and this is one thing I want to say. I say done is better than perfect always, and the reason I say that, and the reason that I haven't changed my album art is because I was like, I need to get this done. It needs to be done now. I didn't want to send out to Fiverr, have them do a bunch of revisions, and have to do all that stuff. So I created this in Canva in about 45 minutes. And I asked my kids about it. Like, yeah, well, it looks great, Dad, but what's Learn for Z? And I was like, it's a 2, but the reason that I keep that there is because I created this in 45 minutes. If I was worried about my album art being perfect, if that's going to keep me from getting the episodes out, then it's not worth it. So, but right here, when you come here, this is all the places that you get syndicated to. As soon as you hit publish, you'll get syndicated to all these. So your Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify. And then you can also grab your own RSS feed. And so you can put this feed into your own website that you already have already if you wanted to. So it would show up with your episodes here. But right now, anybody lands on any of my episodes, they can come here and scroll through. And you get this with your account. So somebody can scroll through here and look for anything that they want in there.
So in my description there, when I'm writing it up, I could link this to the video for YouTube, or I could probably even link it to my Facebook page where we're hosting the video.
Absolutely. So you can put the links in your description, and also you can link to a website.
I love it.
Want to. So you can, if you're going to drive this back to it, all it is it's a URL. So you can link this to your YouTube page or your Facebook or wherever it's at. Also, you can enable this right here where people can leave you a message if they want to. I can't leave a message on my own because it's my podcast, and they'll tell me that I can't do it.
Right.
But it gives people a way to give you feedback. But yeah, so this is basically your website that you get, and whatever links you want to put in your description. In this description, you can or link it to whatever site that you want to. But so I created my artwork in Canva. Again, for this class, that's not necessary. So we have the Tiger King podcast. You are limited in what you can do in here. It's not as versatile as something like Canva. But again, get this done so you can get your first episode out.
Right.
So now you'll go to, all right, so I need to save that first. So save that so they have my podcast name. So Tiger King Podcast. So you can upload an image if you have one, or you can search for one. So we'll just go.
Pick any one.
We'll do tiger.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a
Beautiful.
tiger on that. You can select, you can move around here, how you want to have that, how you want to crop it. And then you're going to see now you can change. So it's automatically just going to put Tiger King Podcast on there. So you can go change it to, a number of different fonts. You can choose the color and you can choose the positioning. So if you want it over to the left, to the right, stay in the middle, top, center, bottom.
Yep.
And then if you want change the color, you change the color, update cover art, and that you essentially have just created your album art. So you don't need to go through that whole process of Canva. You can later on if you want, but I can't stress this enough. I get people asking me about it. Should they wait to get a mic, or should they get a certain mic for it? You don't need it. You need your phone. And what I tell people is that is not having that mic going to keep you from recording your podcast? If the answer is yes, then no, you don't need it. But if you're going to start and then you're going to implement it later, and people will be appreciative of that too. If you are talking through your phone and it maybe has a little bit of echo, and then you introduce it, hey guys, I just ordered a mic. I'm super excited about it. People are going to get excited with you. But all right, now, so we'll go to our dashboard here. And now it's already updated like this. So you'll view your public site. Sometimes this takes a second to update. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we saw it pop up there, but now it's just showing the anchor. But so it may take a couple minutes before that. But now you get the idea. You saw that awesome. How it popped up though. But once it gets done, that'll basically be your site, and you can, there we go. So that's your site. You can change your stuff. This shares your entire site. So it shares this right here. If you wanted to link that and share it with other people, put it in Facebook, put it in your signature on your email or whatever. But once you have your episodes done, so this will still have you go through, finish episode. I'll publish this and take it down real quick because it's nothing. But you go here to edit it so that you can publish. So we'll go hit publish now. All right, they want me to, let me see if I got an email real quick. They want to verify my email on there.
You were right, man. When we started this podcast, you literally could have, if you had something to say, have your podcast up in an hour, if not less.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can be done. I know that it can be done in less than 40 minutes because I created a class for another company to show their members how to get set up in less, or how to get set up. And it was 5 videos that averaged about 8 minutes each. It was like 39 minutes and 54 seconds or something. So you can literally have it up that quick. If you know what you want to talk about, you can have it done like that. So yeah, you're right. It can be done. When we first started, it was taking me 4 to 8 hours to get everything set up. So right. Now that I found this, and this is one of the things that I found that it's such an easy way for people to get their message out there. That's why I wanted to share it, with other people, like we talked about earlier, like what got me to that spot. And that was kind of it.
So we get your podcast up and running. You get a website. You can get the artwork on Canva. You can go to Fiverr, 99 Designs, whatever you want if you want to get fancy. You don't have to get a mic. I'm working with a Blue Yeti that I've had for my other podcast. But you literally can start with your phone. You can download the Anchor app, get it set up. I would probably, I don't know if Brandon's going to agree with me, but you probably need to edit it on your computer. You can record on your phone, at least for the first couple, what you want to talk about, but you need to edit it on your computer, right?
That's where I would do it. You don't have to, but I'm just more comfortable that way. Some of these guys that are just, just can crush it on their phone and do everything on their phone. I'm not quite there yet. Okay. So there's certain things that I'm just more comfortable going in and editing on here. Sometimes my fat fingers get in the way and I can't get it in the right spot. But if you're going to record from your phone, that's the way I do it. Is I'll go out in the car, especially right now sometimes where it's, I have the mic available, but everyone's up in the house, been in the house all day, and I just go out in the car and just kind of record that, and then just come back to the computer. It's waiting there for me.
So I just looked you up. I actually have an Android phone, and Podcast Republic is where I listen to podcasts. I typed in "Learn for Two" podcast, and it showed up. So this gets syndicated, like you said, to 6 or 7 different syndications, right?
Yeah. So right here, this is where I typically start my class off, is right here. This is where, and you have the ability to go far beyond this if you want to. This is about tomorrow morning, your podcast is up and running, and it's at these 8 spots where people can go listen. I typically listen in Overcast. So what I also recommend for people to do is wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribe to your own podcast. And that's not to be like, hey, I have a subscriber, like to pad your stats or anything, but to make sure that it's coming up. For instance, when I subscribe on Overcast, so every time I record my podcast and publish it, I know that it's being syndicated there because I'm getting an update on my phone saying that, hey, Learn for Two just released a new episode.
Okay, let's rock and roll.
So that's basically what you do there. Here, I just want to show you real quick how you can now, if I just wanted to share the one episode, you just click on. So after you go to episodes, you click on the actual episode, and then you copy that link, and then you can go share it. And one of the benefits also to this is that usually a lot of times you use like bit.ly links. Well, this one is actually kind of long, but what I would do here is I would just take this link right here into a bit.ly link, and then you can name it, TKP episode 1 or whatever, so that you can share it with others. I don't know if you want me to go through the bit.ly aspect or not, but you have your episode up and running right now.
Awesome. So Brandon, yeah, I think that's,
there's a ton.
I don't want to inundate the listeners with too much. I would like for them to reach out to you if they wanted to learn the additional steps. So, I mean, this was awesome, man, because I know, like I said, and, you started your first podcast about the same time I did. It took, I don't know, 20 hours to get the first one up. And then it was like 2.5 weeks before it went to Apple. And, we were waiting, like every day you check your email, like, are we approved? Are we approved? Are we approved? You remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it took a while. And then if you, another thing, if you have a little misstep and cause one of our mutual friends, Jay Lieberman, he got kicked off of Apple because he didn't put explicit, and he swore like one time, and somebody, I don't know if somebody turned him in or how he found out, but he had to like go in timeout for a few days.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'll definitely have to put explicit in mine because we dropped the F-bombs.
Yeah. And that's another trick that I mentioned as well. Like when you're doing it, I put it explicit if there's any time that you ever are doing it. It'll ask right here, clean or explicit.
Right.
If you ever say anything that may be off a little bit, just do that. It's not like barring anybody from listening. But again, it's just managing expectations is all, and making sure that you're not getting put in timeout.
Awesome. Brandon, I appreciate you walking through. So now that I've recorded episode 2, now I can go back and do the pilot episode in episode 1 on Anchor. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for teaching our listeners and viewers. So how would people find out more about you if they wanted to learn about the class, listen? Well, we already know where to go to find your podcast. Where would people find you?
Facebook is usually the best. Just Brandon DeVere. It's D as in David, E, V as in Victor, E-R-E. And I'm pretty open. And if anybody wants to connect on there, just let me know, and make sure that you let me know that you came from here. So I know, kind of what to, also let Eric know that he has some listeners reaching out as well, but so that I kind of know what your baseline is of what, especially because we don't really know sometimes we're getting Facebook requests from some people we're not really sure of, but just send me a request in there, and feel free to follow me on there. I've shared a number of stories, and that's pretty much the easiest way. Awesome. Listeners, viewers, I hope you enjoyed episode 2
For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs and my buddy, Brandon DeVere. And make sure if you want to start a podcast, super simple. If you want to connect with Brandon, if you want him to walk you through the steps, I know he would be more than happy. If you want to attend, he's doing some virtual classes now. If you want to attend one of his virtual classes, hit him up. He'll send you a link for the next virtual class. And that's episode 2 of For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs. And we are out.